So it appears game developers Volition have taken over the Saints Row franchise to release Saints Row 4. At first glance, it seems to be a game designed specifically for me. Giant robots, tanks, superpowers, and a giant purple dildo bat? The game plays like an ADD kid's wet dream. But much like my relationship with Dunkaroos, there comes a point when getting too much of what I want just makes me sick. So, will this game satisfy all my wildest desires, or leave me with a bad tummy ache? Let's find out.
Why do you humans enjoy leaping so much?
Get off my lawn, you son of a bitch.
Once again, the player steps into the role of the boss, leader of the gang known as the Saints, and pretty much an all-around badass. This time you start out on a mission to kill some terrorist guy who is planning to nuke America because, you know what, I don't even remember. And it doesn't really matter because 2 minutes later you're president and you get invaded by aliens, and spend the rest of the game dealing with that. The game's main antagonist, Zinniac, has trapped Earth's best and brightest in a computer simulation, and in true Matrix style, you have to fight your way through the simulation, accomplishing goals that will somehow help you take down Zinniac in the real world. The game's story is about as nonsensical as any I've ever seen, and the game combines elements from a ton of other games and movies. You've got references to The Matrix, Halo, Streets of Rage, Splinter Cell, even the occasional YouTube video. The game takes all these elements of pop culture, puts them in a blender, and hits eviscerate. I mean, what other game can you be stomping aliens 1 minute and then be destroying a classic 50s town with a dubstep gun the next? You may have forgotten why you're doing something, or say to yourself, this makes little to no sense, but you're probably having fun doing it. The game's dialogue is pretty much what you would expect. It's ridiculous and over the top, and everyone pretty much stays in character. Now, the dialogue choices you get are pretty funny. In a clear nod to Mass Effect, you can try to romance anyone on the ship, even your other non-human crewmate, and the outcomes of trying this are oftentimes hilarious. Okay, let's move on to gameplay. Now, the one huge complaint that I know people are going to have is that this game doesn't offer much of a challenge. I mean, it's kind of hard for the AI to challenge a player who has godlike superpowers, can regain health from murdering civilians, and call in a nigh indestructible tank at any given time. I almost feel like tanks should cost money, or you should have a limited number of them or something. I didn't run into too many situations in the game when I actually felt threatened, and when I did, you could be goddamn sure that a tank cleared up the problem pretty quickly. In fact, if there's one lesson I felt like I took away from this game, it's that there are a few problems that can't be solved with a tank. Now, there were times when they took away your ability to call in a tank, but those situations usually weren't that tough, and you usually had other ways of dealing with things. For instance, if you're on a roof, you can always call in your homies for backup. Now, while I kind of understand the not difficult enough complaint, this game isn't about insane hard enemies. It's about finding new and interesting ways to murder people. You can sprint into them and put your fist through their chest. You can use your stomp ability to send them flying off a building, or my personal favorite, freeze them and then shatter them into pieces with a giant candy cane dildo. Yes, the dildo in this game is customizable. In fact, there's a lot of customization available in this game. You can pimp out your character, your voice, your ride, your weapons, but you might notice that you've already seen most of this stuff in Saints Row 3. Don't get me wrong, there is some new stuff, but probably not as much as players would like. The same can be said for the game world. Sure, there's lots of new activities to do around Steelport, but they haven't really expanded the world at all, which is something that is kind of expected out of an open world game. If you make a new one, you have to make the world bigger. Alright, let's talk about visuals. The game uses this dreary color palette to let you know that everything's been taken over and is all sinister and evil, but this gets kind of old after a while, and you kind of end up wishing that the game had variable weather or like day-night cycles or something. You actually can make it daytime in Steelport, but to do that you have to beat the game, so that doesn't really count. Fortunately, you don't spend all your time in Steelport, and you end up stomping around the occasional alien ship, usually using a pretty kick-ass mech. You also visit other people's simulations where tons of awesome and weird stuff is always going on. Now, one thing I wanted to take a moment and point out is that this game's soundtrack is awesome. It's amazing. It might be my all-time favorite game soundtrack ever. Everything from the scene early on where you're riding a nuke as Aerosmith is rocking out in the background, to the part where you're flying a spaceship, to What Is Love. It's awesome, and the soundtrack is an indication of overall greater game design. Saints Row spaces out these awesome segments very well so that just as you think you're starting to fall into a rut, something bizarre or amazing happens, and that's really the strength of this game. Another thing I love about Saints Row 4 is that it will support modding. If you've ever seen any of my channel videos, you know that I'm a big fan of mods for games like GTA 4, Left 4 Dead 2, and Minecraft, so mod support for the PC version of Saints Row 4 is awesome to me. However, what would be even more amazing is if they made the game compatible with the Steam Workshop for easy mod installation. But I haven't actually heard anything about that happening, so I wouldn't count on it. Saints Row 4 also has multiplayer, but it's not quite the multiplayer I want. You can play co-op together and even do some verses in the activities scattered around the city. But what I wanted was full-on deathmatch style gameplay like we get in GTA 4. Imagine the chaos as super-powered, highly customized gang members tear around the city, blowing stuff up, freezing people, and creating general terror. Still, the co-op mode is pretty fun, and being able to drop in on friends and see the ridiculous characters they've created is a major bonus for the game. Alright, so what do we have here? A crazy, non-stop explosion fest with customizable everything, superpowers, and some truly awesome and hilarious game moments, plus the ability to mod. And on the downside, you've got the fact that much of this game is recycled from Saints Row the Third. And since they're charging full price for this game, it really feels like they should have created a new city or at least expanded the current one. But despite that flaw, Saints Row 4 is an undeniably fun experience. It's as entertaining as it is ridiculous, and it's plenty ridiculous. If you're looking to have fun, blow up a lot of people, and generally feel like a god, then this is the game for you. If you're looking for a challenging game with an intricate storyline and characters you can really relate to, maybe take a pass on this one. Now I'm in the former group, so I give Saints Row 4 8.5 candy cane dildos out of 10. That's all for this week. Make sure and leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.